Alan Wells opened his eyes to blinding emergency lights and the wail of alarms. Blood trickled down his face as he pushed himself up from the command deck floor of the Horizon. Bodies of his crew lay scattered around him. Some moved, groaning in pain. Others didn't move at all. "Status report," he croaked, stumbling to his feet. No one answered. The ship's computer was offline. Through the viewport, he saw the attacking vessels still circling their wounded diplomatic ship like hungry predators. "This doesn't make sense," he muttered, making his way to the backup systems console. "We're a diplomatic vessel in neutral space." The ship's log was still recording, capturing everything that had happened. The unprovoked attack by 3 Council ships. The Horizon's shields failing under concentrated fire. The transmission they'd received just before being fired upon. "The vote is complete. Containment protocol authorized." Ellen had served as Earth's representative to the Galactic Council for 7 years. He knew the politics, the undercurrents of tension. But this was unprecedented. The Council had strict laws against unprovoked attacks on diplomatic vessels. A groan from across the bridge caught his attention. Olivia Chen, his communications officer, was regaining consciousness. "Commander," she gasped, holding her injured arm. "Why did they attack us?" "I don't know," Ellen replied, helping her to a sitting position. "But I'm going to find out." He activated the emergency power to the communications array. "We need to warn Earth." While Olivia treated the wounded crew members, Alan accessed the ship's hidden surveillance system. For years, Earth had secretly recorded all Council meetings, despite rules against such actions. Humanity had learned early on that trusting alien species completely was naive. The recordings from the past week revealed everything. A secret session. 7 major species voting. The topic, the human problem. The decision, containment, followed by gradual extinction if necessary. "They've been planning this for years," Alan whispered as he watched. The peace treaties Earth had been pressured to sign over the past decade weren't gestures of friendship. They were calculated moves to limit human military development and expansion. The ship shuddered as another blast hit their hull. "They're coming back to finish us," Olivia said, looking at the radar. Alan downloaded the Council recordings to a secure drive. "Get everyone to the escape pods. I'll set the self-destruct sequence. What about you? Someone has to make sure this evidence reaches Earth." 20 minutes later, Alan piloted the last escape pod away from the Horizon. Behind him, the diplomatic vessel exploded in a brilliant flash, taking 2 of the attacking ships with it. The journey back to Earth took 11 days in the small pod. When he finally landed at the North American Defense Headquarters, President Martinez was waiting personally to receive his report. In the secure briefing room, Earth's leadership watched the Council recordings in stunned silence. "All these years," the President said quietly, "all these treaties, the technology sharing limitations, the restrictions on our military expansion, it was never about peace." "No, Madam President," Alan confirmed. "It was about keeping us weak until they were ready to strike." Defense Secretary Frank Miller slammed his fist on the table. "We've suspected something like this, which is why we continued developing certain technologies in secret. But this confirmation changes everything." President Martinez stood, her decision made. "Call an emergency global summit. All nations, all leaders. No media, no leaks." She looked at the tired face of Commander Wells. "You've given us the warning we needed, Commander. Now humanity must decide how to respond." Within 24 hours, for the first time in human history, every nation on Earth agreed on a single course of action. The galaxy had made its choice. Now, humanity would make theirs. Leaders from every nation on Earth gathered in the underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. The room hummed with tension as President Martinez called the meeting to order. "You've all reviewed the evidence Commander Wells brought back," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "The Galactic Council has secretly voted to contain and eventually eliminate humanity. We must decide how to respond." Admiral Jack Foster stepped forward. A career military man with gray at his temples, he had spent the last decade preparing for a day he hoped would never come. Madam President, world leaders, he began, activating the holographic display. For years, we've complied with council restrictions on our military development, at least officially. The display showed massive underground facilities hidden beneath oceans and inside mountains. Unofficially, we've been building. The United Defense Initiative has constructed ships, weapons, and defense systems beyond anything we've shown to our so-called allies. Gasps and murmurs filled the room as the true extent of Earth's secret military program became clear. Why weren't we informed? Demanded the European Union president. Compartmentalization was necessary, replied Secretary Miller. The Council has spies everywhere. Only a handful of people knew the full scope. As the initial shock subsided, Dr. Samantha Boyd took the floor. With her simple lab coat and practical ponytail, she looked out of place among the politicians and military officers. While Admiral Foster's team built ships, my scientists developed the technology to power them, she explained. We've created shield systems that can withstand the Council's known weapons and energy cores that don't rely on the fuel they control. How is this possible? Asked the Chinese premier. The treaties were designed to keep us weak, Dr. Boyd finished. But humans are remarkably good at finding loopholes and working around restrictions. President Martinez reclaimed the floor. We face a choice. We can wait for them to attack when they're ready, or we can act now from a position of strength. The Brazilian president stood. What exactly are you suggesting? We launch a preemptive strike against the entire council. No, Admiral Foster answered. We reveal our strength and deliver an ultimatum. The room erupted in debate. Some leaders called for immediate military action, others for attempting one last diplomatic solution. After hours of discussion, a consensus emerged. Then we are agreed, President Martinez announced. We established the United Earth Defense Force, combining our secret military assets under a single command. We reveal our true capabilities and demand recognition of human sovereignty and independence. And if they refuse? Asked the Japanese Prime Minister. President Martinez's expression hardened. Then we show them that humanity will not go quietly. The vote was unanimous. For the first time in history, Earth would speak with one voice. After the summit, Admiral Foster met with his command staff to select the messenger. Captain Eric Daniels was brought in from the hidden Jupiter base where he'd been training elite pilots. Captain Daniels, Admiral Foster said, "You're being given command of our flagship, the Defiance." Eric stood at attention, his blue eyes steady. "What's the mission, sir?" "You're going to deliver humanity's final warning to the Galactic Council," Foster explained. "Show them our strength, but don't start a fight unless they do. And if they attack, then you show them exactly why picking a fight with humans was their worst mistake." As Eric left to prepare his crew, Dr. Boyd approached the Admiral. "The Defiance's systems are untested in actual combat," she warned. "Let's hope they remain that way," Foster replied. "But I doubt it. The Council has made their intentions clear." As dawn broke over a united Earth, the Defiance and its battle group rose from their hidden base beneath the Atlantic Ocean, heading for the stars with humanity's ultimatum. The galaxy was about to discover that humans were done playing by alien rules. The Defiance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Galactic Council's territory. Captain Eric Daniels stood on the bridge, watching as his ship led Earth's fleet toward the massive space station that served as the Council headquarters. "Multiple ships moving to intercept," reported Lieutenant Susan Wright from the tactical station. "They're charging weapons." Eric nodded calmly. "Raise shields, but do not arm weapons. Let's show them we came prepared but not looking for a fight." The Council defense fleet surrounded the human ships, their weapons trained on the Defiance. A transmission came through on the main screen. "Human vessels, you are in violation of treaty agreements limiting your military presence beyond Sol's system. Power down and prepare to be boarded." Eric straightened his uniform and faced the camera. This is Captain Eric Daniels of the United Earth Defense Force. We come with a message from humanity to the Galactic Council. We request an immediate audience. No audience has been scheduled. The alien commander replied. Your presence here is unauthorized. Nevertheless, Eric said firmly, we will deliver our message. If you attempt to stop us, we will consider it an act of war. The alien ships tightened their formation around the human fleet. One of the smaller council vessels fired a warning shot that would have normally disabled a human ship. The energy blast hit the Defiance's shields and dissipated harmlessly. Surprise registered on the alien commander's face. What technology is this? Your shields should not. As I said, Eric interrupted, we come with a message. Fire on us again, and we will respond in kind. The council ships backed off slightly, confused by the humans' unexpected capabilities. Using this moment of hesitation, Eric ordered the fleet forward toward the station. When they reached the council station, Eric activated the global broadcast system Dr. Boyd had designed. It would transmit humanity's message to every world in council space simultaneously. Attention, all sentient species of the galaxy. I speak on behalf of humanity. Eric's voice was steady as billions of beings across thousands of worlds listened. For decades, we have endured restrictive treaties and limitations imposed by the Galactic Council. We believed these were steps toward peaceful coexistence. We were wrong. Eric paused, letting his words sink in. We have discovered the Council's secret vote to contain and eventually eliminate humanity. Your mistake was underestimating us. On his signal, the human fleet activated their shields simultaneously, creating a brilliant blue glow visible to the watching council representatives. While you believed we were complying with your limitations, we were preparing. Humanity has never put all its eggs in one basket. The council chamber erupted in chaos as Eric continued. Today, we deliver our response. Earth and all human colonies are sovereign territory. Any attempt to enforce your containment protocol will be met with the full force of human resistance. To demonstrate their capabilities, Eric nodded to Susan, who activated a targeted electromagnetic pulse. Instantly, the weapons systems on all surrounding council ships shut down. We could destroy your fleet right now, but that is not our purpose. We come with a warning, not a declaration of war, unless you force our hand. The council's prime speaker, a tall, insect-like being, finally responded. Captain Daniels, this display is most unexpected. The council requires time to consider this development. You have 30 days, Eric replied. In that time, you will resign the containment vote and recognize humanity's independent status, or we will take measures to ensure our survival. As the transmission ended, the human fleet turned in perfect formation and moved away from the station. Do you think they'll back down? Susan asked quietly. Eric watched the stars through the viewport. Some will want to. Others will push for immediate action against us. Either way, the galaxy now knows that humans aren't as weak as they thought. The Defiance jumped back to hyperspace, leaving behind a stunned council and a galaxy suddenly aware that everything had changed. Hidden beneath the ice sheets of Antarctica, the massive doors of Earth's largest shipyard slid open for the first time in 15 years. Enormous vessels rose from their underground berths, their hulls gleaming under the polar lights. Similar scenes played out across the planet as humanity's secret preparations came to light. Admiral Foster walked through the command center of the North American Defense Complex, watching as technicians activated systems that had been waiting for this moment. Status report, he ordered. All 7 primary shipyards are now operational, replied his aide. The Pacific Fleet reports ready. Atlantic and Indian Ocean fleets will be combat ready in 48 hours. Foster nodded, studying the global readiness display. For decades, Earth had maintained the appearance of compliance with Council restrictions while building in secret. Now, those hidden resources were being deployed. In orbit above Mars, Lieutenant Kate Morgan led her Special Forces team through their final training exercise. Her soldiers moved with precision through the mock-up of a council ship, neutralizing targets and securing critical systems. Faster, she barked as they cleared the bridge simulation. The aliens won't stand around waiting for you to shoot them. One of her soldiers, Ryan Cooper, lowered his weapon. Lieutenant, do you really think it'll come to boarding actions? Kate checked the timer on her wrist display. The Council has spent years planning our extinction. They won't change their minds just because we showed them some fancy shields. She reset the simulation. Again. This time, I want it done in under 2 minutes. While soldiers trained, civilian scientist Peter Rodriguez worked in his laboratory beneath Mexico City. Surrounded by the most advanced computers on Earth, he made the final adjustments to his life's work. System check complete, announced the lab's eye. Defense network satellites show green across all systems. Peter removed his glasses and rubbed his tired eyes. Begin activation sequence. Bring all units online, passive scanning mode only. Around Earth's solar system, hundreds of satellites that had appeared to be ordinary communications or research equipment suddenly awakened. Their true purpose, a detection and defense network, now activated. If they come, Peter whispered to himself, they'll find we've been watching for them all along. On the moon, Chief Engineer Lisa Grayson supervised the installation of Dr. Boyd's shield generators on the last group of battleships. Careful with those power couplings, she warned a team of technicians. One wrong connection, and you'll blow the entire system. Lisa had spent years building ships that could stand against the Council's advanced technology. Now time was running out to complete the fleet. Her communications device chirped. Grayson here. Lisa, we've got trouble. It was Admiral Foster. Scout ships just detected alien vessels entering the outer solar system. They're testing our defenses. We need another week to finish outfitting all ships, she replied. You've got 24 hours, Foster said grimly. That's when the first wave will reach Mars. Lisa turned to her crew. Double shifts, everyone. No breaks until these ships are ready for combat. Across Earth and its colonies, humanity prepared for war. Civilian populations were moved to underground shelters. Food and medical supplies were stockpiled. Military units took up defensive positions around major cities. In orbit around Jupiter, the first skirmish began when 3 Council scout ships encountered Earth's forward defense line. The alien vessels fired without warning. Captain William Nelson, commanding the patrol ship Sentinel, ordered an immediate response. Target their engines. Let's see how our weapons perform against their shields. The battle lasted less than 5 minutes. All 3 Council ships were disabled, their crews taken prisoner. When Admiral Foster received the report, he summoned his command staff. It's begun. The Council is probing our defenses, looking for weaknesses. He looked at the strategic display, showing the positions of Earth's forces throughout the solar system. They think they know what we're capable of. It's time to show them how wrong they are. The countdown that Captain Daniels had started continued to tick away. 26 days remained before humanity's ultimatum expired. The emergency alert sounded at 3:17 a.m., waking President Martinez from a fitful sleep. She rushed to the secure communication room beneath the White House, still pulling on her jacket. What happened? She demanded as she entered the room filled with military officers and security personnel. Admiral Foster pointed to the main screen. We intercepted a transmission from inside our defense network to a Council ship hiding behind the moon. The signal contained our complete defense plans and fleet positions. How is that possible? Martins asked, her face pale. Those plans are only accessible to the highest levels of command. We traced the signal, Foster replied grimly. It came from Council Representative George Wilson's quarters. The name hit Martinez like a physical blow. Wilson had been Earth's liaison to the Galactic Council for over a decade, a trusted diplomat who had helped negotiate many of the treaties Earth had signed. Bring him in, she ordered, quietly. When security forces entered Wilson's apartment, they found it empty. He had vanished, leaving behind only a small alien communication device hidden beneath his desk. Intelligence Director Nicole Harris presented her findings to the Emergency Council hours later. Wilson isn't just a recent convert. Based on communications we've recovered, he's been working for the Council for at least 15 years. 15 years. Secretary Miller shook his head in disbelief. That means he helped design the very treaties meant to weaken us. Exactly, Harris confirmed. And he's not alone. We've identified at least 30 more infiltrators in key positions across Earth governments. As Earth's leadership grappled with this revelation, the first direct attack came. A small council ship slipped through the defense network and launched an assault on the presidential compound. 4 cloaked assassins managed to penetrate the outer security before they were stopped by the Secret Service. President Martinez watched the security footage of the aliens being taken down. "They're getting desperate," she observed, moving up their timetable. "We're rounding up all suspected collaborators," Harris reported. "But the damage is done. The Council knows our plans." Foster nodded gravely. "We'll have to adjust our strategy completely. Nothing we planned before today can be trusted." As Earth's military leaders worked to develop new defense plans, an unexpected message arrived from the Arcturian system. Ambassador John Kelly, stationed on the Arcturian homeworld, appeared on the secure channel. "Madam President, I have important news. The Arcturians have secretly reached out to me. They want no part in the Council's plans against Earth." "Can we trust them?" Martins asked. "I believe so," Kelly replied. "They've provided intelligence on Council fleet movements as proof of their sincerity. They're not the only ones, either. Several smaller species fear that if the Council succeeds against humans, they'll be next." This news spread a ray of hope through Earth's leadership. Perhaps humanity wasn't as alone in the galaxy as they'd feared. Nicole Harris established a secure channel with these potential allies, creating an underground network that stretched across several star systems. Information began flowing both ways. "The Council isn't as united as they want us to believe," Harris reported after analyzing the intelligence. "At least 4 major species are questioning the containment policy, especially after seeing our technological capabilities." "Can we exploit these divisions?" asked Secretary Miller. "We already are," Harris smiled. "Our diplomatic corps is working around the clock, reaching out to any species willing to listen." Meanwhile, on a Council battleship near Saturn, the traitor George Wilson met with alien military leaders. "Earth's defenses are stronger than we anticipated," he admitted. "But I've given you their weaknesses. Strike now, before they can reorganize." The alien commander considered Wilson with cold eyes. "Your usefulness may be ending, human, if your information proves incorrect again." Wilson swallowed hard. He had betrayed his species, believing the Council's promises of mercy for those who helped them. Now he was beginning to understand the true nature of his allies. Back on Earth, President Martinez addressed an emergency session of the United Nations. "We have been betrayed, but not defeated. The enemy knows our plans, so we will make new ones. They think they understand humanity, but they have only begun to learn what we're capable of when threatened." The countdown continued. 21 days remained. Admiral Foster stood before the holographic display, examining the Council's main shipyard orbiting the gas giant Centauri IV. Intelligence provided by their new Arcturian allies had confirmed this was where the Council assembled their largest warships. "This is the heart of their military power," Foster explained to the assembled commanders. "If we can cripple this facility, we buy Earth precious time." Captain Daniels, recently returned from delivering humanity's ultimatum, studied the station's defenses. "Their shield generators are here and here," he pointed, "heavily protected, but with a synchronized attack." "Exactly," Foster agreed. "This isn't just about damaging their shipyard. It's about showing the galaxy that humans can strike anywhere, anytime." The plan was set. 3 battle groups would launch simultaneously, hitting Council targets across multiple systems. The main force, led by Admiral Foster himself, would target the shipyard. As Earth's ships prepared to jump, President Martinez addressed the crews from her command center. "You carry humanity's future with you," she said, her image appearing on every ship's communication system. "We didn't choose this conflict, but we will finish it. Show them why Earth should never have been threatened." The Earth fleet vanished into hyperspace, emerging hours later at carefully calculated points around the Council shipyard. The massive facility sprawled across space, with half-constructed battleships tethered to construction platforms. "They haven't detected us yet," reported Foster's tactical officer. "Stealth systems functioning perfectly." Foster nodded. "All ships, battle formation. Target primary defense systems on my mark." The human fleet moved into position, weapons powered but cloaking shields still active. When they were perfectly aligned, Foster gave the command. "All ships, fire." Hundreds of energy beams lanced across space, striking the shipyard's shield generators simultaneously. The defensive barrier flickered and collapsed under the coordinated assault. Alarms blared across the Council facility as human ships suddenly appeared on their sensors, already inside their defensive perimeter. "Second wave, engage," Foster ordered calmly. Smaller attack craft launched from the Earth destroyers, targeting the shipyard's weapon emplacements and communication arrays. The Council scrambled to respond, but their ships were caught in docking bays or powered down for maintenance. On the Council command center, the alien admiral watched in disbelief as human vessels systematically disabled his defenses. "How did they get past our sensor network?" he demanded. "Unknown, Admiral," his subordinate replied. "Their ships are using technology we've never seen before." While Foster's battle group engaged the shipyard, Captain Daniels led a smaller team on a more dangerous mission. His ship, the Defiance, approached the command center under stealth. "Ready boarding team," Daniels ordered. Lieutenant Kate Morgan and her special forces stood in the launch bay, armed with the newest weapons developed by Dr. Boyd's team. "We're ready, Captain." "Remember," Daniels said, "our objective is their central database. Get in, download everything, then get out." The boarding pods launched silently, attaching to the Council command center's hull. Morgan's team cut through the exterior, entering the station before alarms could sound. "Move fast," Morgan ordered as her soldiers secured the corridor. "We have 15 minutes before they realize we're here." The team fought their way to the central computer core, facing surprisingly light resistance. The Council forces hadn't expected an internal attack. "Beginning download," reported Ryan Cooper, attaching their specialized device to the alien mainframe. "This has everything: fleet deployments, battle plans, communications." Across the system, the Council's response fleet finally mobilized, jumping in to defend the shipyard. But they arrived to find Foster's forces already withdrawing, their mission complete. The shipyard floated in space, crippled but not destroyed. Dozens of nearly completed warships had been precisely disabled, rendered useless without months of repairs. On the main Council battleship, the commander received a transmission from Earth. Admiral Foster's face appeared on their screen. "Consider this a demonstration of humanity's resolve. The shipyard can be rebuilt. Next time, we won't be so merciful." As Foster's fleet jumped to hyperspace, reports came in from across Council space. Human forces had struck 5 other military targets simultaneously, each attack precisely executed and devastating in effect. In the aftermath, 3 Council member species announced they were withdrawing from the containment policy, unwilling to face humanity's unexpected strength. The Council leadership met in emergency session, their unity crumbling. The Battle of Proxima Centauri began at dawn, Earth Standard Time. It would end before dusk, changing the galaxy forever. Council forces had gathered their remaining strength for one decisive engagement. Over 200 alien warships formed a defensive line around the Proxima star system, determined to stop humanity's advance. From the bridge of Earth's flagship, Admiral Foster surveyed the enemy formation. "They're desperate," he observed, "committing everything they have left to this battle." "Should we withdraw and regroup?" asked his executive officer. Foster shook his head. No, this ends today. Earth's fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect attack formation. At its center, the Defiance led the charge, Captain Daniels at the helm. All ships, execute Battle Plan Omega, Foster commanded. Show them what happens when you threaten our world. The human fleet split into 3 coordinated groups, executing maneuvers that the Council tacticians had never seen before. Ships moved in seemingly chaotic patterns that suddenly resolved into deadly attack vectors. On the Council command ship, the Supreme Admiral watched in growing horror. They're inside our defensive screen. How are they moving so fast? His tactical officer had no answer. The humans were fighting with an intensity and precision that defied conventional strategy. Dr. Boyd's newest weapon was deployed for the first time, a wave disruptor that temporarily disabled enemy ships' navigation systems. As Council vessels drifted out of formation, Earth's fighters struck with surgical precision. Within 3 hours, half the Council fleet had been disabled or destroyed. The remaining ships began to retreat. "They're breaking formation," reported Daniels from the Defiance. "Permission to pursue." "Negative," Foster replied. "Let them go. They'll carry our message back to their leaders." As the battle concluded, President Martinez received the news in her command center. "Casualties?" she asked quietly. "Minimal, Madam President. 27 confirmed lost." Martinez closed her eyes briefly. 27 families would receive the worst news today, even in victory. 6 days later, the Galactic Council requested a ceasefire. Their representatives arrived at the neutral meeting point aboard an unarmed diplomatic vessel, the same type they had destroyed when they attacked Commander Wells at the beginning of the conflict. Captain Daniels, who had delivered humanity's ultimatum, was chosen to represent Earth at the negotiations. The symmetry was not lost on anyone. The Council's prime speaker entered the meeting chamber, his normally imposing presence diminished by recent events. "Captain Daniels," he began, "the Council acknowledges humanity's remarkable capabilities. We are prepared to discuss terms." Daniels activated the holographic display showing Earth's conditions. "These aren't points for negotiation," he explained calmly. "These are the terms of your surrender." The demands were straightforward. The Council would recognize Earth and all human colonies as sovereign territory. All restrictive treaties would be nullified. Earth would have equal representation in a reformed galactic governing body. Any species that had participated in planning humanity's extinction would pay reparations. The prime speaker studied the terms. "And if we refuse, then we continue until the Council no longer exists," Daniels replied simply. 2 days later, the treaty was signed. The Council as it had existed for millennia was dissolved, to be replaced by a new galactic federation with humanity as a founding member. President Martinez addressed a united Earth as the news spread across human worlds. "Today marks a new chapter in our history," she said, "not just for Earth, but for all peaceful species in our galaxy. We did not seek this conflict, but we have emerged from it stronger and wiser." Admiral Foster was appointed to lead Earth's peacekeeping fleet, tasked with ensuring the new peace held firm. His ships now patrolled the borders of human space, not to keep others out, but to protect a hard-won peace. In the Council chambers, now renamed the Federation Assembly, Captain Daniels took his seat as humanity's first representative. Around him sat delegates from dozens of species, many of whom had been enemies just weeks before. "The human delegation recognizes the representative from Arcturus," Daniels announced, beginning the first session. As the proceedings commenced, a message arrived from Earth. Dr. Boyd had completed her analysis of the data stolen from the Council's databases. Among the files was evidence that humanity's rapid evolution and technological aptitude had frightened the older species for centuries. "They feared what we might become," Daniels realized as he read the report. "I notice you're asking for a Part 8, but the story outline I provided originally had only 7 parts. I'd be happy to write an additional part to continue the story. Here's Part 8. The Legacy." 5 years after the Battle of Proxima Centauri, Earth had changed in ways few could have imagined. The once secret shipyards now operated openly, producing vessels not just for defense, but for exploration and trade. Cities had expanded upward and outward as new alien technologies were adapted for human use. Admiral Foster walked through the Memorial Garden in what had once been the North American Defense Complex. Stone markers bore the names of those lost in humanity's brief but decisive war with the Council. He paused at one bearing the name Ryan Cooper, Lieutenant Morgan's soldier who had fallen during a later mission. "They would be proud," said a voice behind him. Foster turned to see Captain Daniels, now Ambassador Daniels, approaching along the garden path. "Eric," Foster greeted him warmly. "I didn't know you were back on Earth." "Just arrived this morning," Daniels replied. "The Federation Assembly is in recess for the seasonal change on Arcturus." The two men walked together through the garden, talking of small things at first, family, weather, mutual friends, but eventually their conversation turned to the state of the galaxy. "How are the former Council races adapting?" Foster asked. Daniels sighed. "Most have accepted the new order. Some even embrace it. The trade agreements have brought prosperity to worlds that were struggling under Council restrictions. And the others? There are still those who resent human influence," Daniels admitted. "Small factions planning resistance. Nothing serious yet, but we're watching them." They reached a bench overlooking the valley where Earth's first interstellar colony ship was being constructed. Its massive frame gleamed in the afternoon sun. "The Phoenix," Foster said, gesturing toward the ship. "Fitting name." "President Martinez has asked me to lead the mission," Daniels revealed. "First human settlement beyond our immediate stellar neighborhood." Foster raised an eyebrow. "You're leaving diplomacy behind." "Not entirely. The Federation Council sees this as both exploration and outreach. We'll be taking representatives from 12 species with us." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Dr. Samantha Boyd, now head of Earth's Advanced Technology Division. Her hair had more gray than before, but her eyes still shone with the same intensity. "Gentlemen," she greeted them, "I thought I might find you here." She handed them each a small device no bigger than a coin. "The next generation of universal translators," she explained. "They don't just translate words. They convey cultural context and emotional nuance." Foster examined the tiny device. "This could prevent a lot of misunderstandings." "That's the idea," Boyd agreed. "We've learned that most conflicts begin with miscommunication." As they discussed the new technology, a group of alien visitors toured the garden nearby. Children from 5 different species played together, supervised by human and alien teachers. "That," Daniels said, pointing to the children, "is our greatest achievement. Not the ships or weapons or political alliances, the next generation growing up without the fears and prejudices of their parents." Later that evening, the three attended a ceremony at the Global Assembly Hall where President Martinez was completing her final term in office. Her hair was completely white now, the stress of leading Earth through crisis evident in her face. "We stand today, not as conquerors," she told the assembled representatives of Earth and 24 alien worlds, "but as builders. The peace we've established isn't maintained by fear of human weapons, but by the bonds of mutual respect and cooperation we continue to forge." After the ceremony, Foster found himself alone with Martinez on the balcony overlooking the city. "Any regrets?" he asked her. She considered the question seriously. "I regret that it took conflict to bring about change. I regret each life lost." She paused, looking up at the stars. "But I don't regret standing firm when humanity was threatened." "What's next for you?" Foster asked. Martinez smiled. "The Federation has asked me to establish an academy where young leaders from all species can learn together, building bridges that will last long after we're gone." As night fell over Earth, ships from 12 worlds moved through the sky above. Trade vessels, diplomatic shuttles, and tourist carriers, traffic that would have been unimaginable a decade earlier.